Everyone. This is the Ballin Right podcast. My name's Patrick Sana, and with me today in the first episode is
Felix Reeves.
Felix Reeves. Hi, how are you?
I'm not too bad, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad actually. The first podcast for Ballin Right, so it's only right to ask you um the most important question in this is what team do you actually support in the NBA?
I gotta be honest, I'm a bit of a bandwagon fan. Maybe like 10 years ago, I got into basketball through Dirk Nowitzki,
Okay, yeah,
the- in my opinion, the GOAT.
right.
Um, I followed the Mavericks for a little while, and then I don't know, something about Toronto started reaching out to me. So
Mm.
that was like 5 years ago, so it's before the championship, but I claim Toronto as my own.
Nah, to be fair, I'm pretty much the same because it's weird that you said that you're a bandwagon fan because I'm a kind of like on that same wavelength as well. It's not really that. I think it's mainly when you live in America that you have like a team that you kind of support more to a great extent. With us, it's just like, at first, when I first actually got myself into it, it was the same thing. I saw like a Mavericks versus Grizzlies game, and I was like, wow, I actually like Mavericks. They won recently as well because I think this was like 2014 or whatnot.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, the Dallas Mavericks was actually my first one as well. So it's weird that you actually say that. Um, and I'm guessing you're a Dirk Nowitzki fan through your German heritage, innit?
Yeah, just because we used to have a German TV at my house.
Yeah.
So my mum would always persuade me to watch German TV, and then the consolation was it can be German TV, but it's got to be sports. So it'd always be
Right.
football,
Yeah.
ice hockey, basketball, and then eventually you just start seeing this 7 foot tall blonde man just dominating the league. So I thought, oh,
Dominating the
well,
league,
as well.
definitely.
And it was more commercial back then, so you could actually see games in free TV. So I just got into it that way, you know.
Would they stream basketball relatively frequently on a German
Maybe
broadcasts?
like a couple games a week, much more than it is now.
Mm.
But yeah, just middle of like a Sunday night, you got I don't know, the Jazz against the Heat. It'd be like something to watch.
Yeah.
Just interesting.
But even recently, I think that it's most probably because of Dirk Nowitzki, the influx of German players in the league has increased.
Yeah, yeah. Mo Wagner,
Yeah.
Maxi at the Celtics. It's nice. Like I would say I tend to gravitate towards them because there's not many English players.
Right.
So I just got to stick with the Germans. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just nice to see not even German, just any Europeans like Luka Doncic. I'd say he's probably got me back into basketball. He's
Luka Doncic. This is, you know what? Luka Doncic himself is just a 30-minute podcast on himself because that guy, I can't like he's actually younger than me by I think a month or whatnot. And seeing him do what he does, being an NBA All-Star game starter,
yeah,
I
crazy.
was just thrown off, honestly.
Like
But yeah, it's good. It's good to see, as you said, it's good to see the increase of European players. But that's mainly because NBA itself is going global. It's
yeah.
becoming more of a globalized game.
I
It's
mean,
really yeah. Go on,
they've
sorry.
always got their games in London. I've always wanted to go, but it's just never at like a convenient time. But it's always like a solid game. What was it last year or the year before? Toronto, Miami, I think.
Oh, I
Proper
don't
good game.
remember where it was last year. I remember one time Indiana Pacers were with Paul George in London,
Yeah, yeah. And
but
that's always because any American sport for us in the UK is just it's inconvenient
it's
because
something different.
it's they start the games at like 1 a.m. But
Yeah,
to actually have the games in London, have it at like such a big arena where you can fit in loads of fans, plus they start the game at like 7 p.m. It
yeah,
is nice
exactly.
for change.
Now, I would definitely. I've never actually been to an exhibition game or any like overseas game, but I would love to go to one. Whenever there's one in London again, I'm definitely
Yeah,
trying to get my way in.
yeah,
Doesn't matter what team it is. It could be I don't know Cleveland Cavaliers who are not like nothing special right now.
yeah.
I wouldn't mind watching. It's the it's the atmosphere that's there that's really engaging with people. You can hear it when you're even watching games online or
Yeah.
on the TV.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even the like lockdown finals, there was still atmosphere, even if it's
Exactly.
literally just the players on the bench and
Yeah.
10 people in the crowd. Like there's still so much hype behind it. I
Did
think
you?
they really did a good thing with the lockdown games.
Definitely. I was going to ask you, did you watch a lot of the bubble games?
I did. I can't lie. Again, like I had nothing better to do, so I'd be up at 4 in the morning watching a game. Just
Mm,
pure convenience.
nah,
But,
definitely. I've
yeah,
stayed up a couple of times, especially for the finals.
yeah. Oh, they were weird.
Yeah.
I'm
I
glad.
was actually who did you have your like eye on in the finals? Who did you kind of you know
Uh, I mean, I
drifty?
did want LA to win. Like the whole storyline of trading for, or well, signing free LeBron in free agency, and then like going through all this with Kobe's death, obviously rocked them. And then, like a month after that, the season just stopped right there and then.
Yeah.
And to go through it all, LeBron winning another ring. Um,
This
it,
whole season was a symbolical thing for Lakers, especially just
yeah,
as you said, with everything that happened with Kobe, with just with the fact that even LeBron came to this franchise. You know, LeBron himself is a top two, well now regarded top two player by
yeah,
pretty much everyone. So for his legacy to kind of diverge and go into Lakers is me personally, I've never been a LeBron James fan, but I'm always up for legacy, and it's nice to see that a legacy like that is being formed in a franchise that's already been developed
yeah.
to an
I
extent where they've actually won 17 championships.
yeah, I did like that he went to LA because Um, my mate, we both properly got into basketball at the same time,
Mm.
and that was just as LeBron went back to Cleveland. So we
Right,
were
yeah.
like properly on like that was definitely bandwagon. Like I still like Toronto, but like Cleveland, it was like this
Yeah.
storyline.
So
But
you're a Cleveland fan when it comes to like the Warriors, Cleveland sort of
oh,
thing?
100%, I
Really?
couldn't
I was
stop.
a Warriors one.
I just don't respect them getting Durant. I just don't respect it.
Do you know what? It's a mismatch with that. A lot like as you see, like look, it's just us two, but we already have a split decision. That just
Yeah,
shows how like thingy. I agree with you. I don't like the fact that they would create a super team because look, it did win them two championships straight up. The first season that he came in, they won because they
yeah,
were just stacked. They had like all the experience with the backcourt that they have,
yeah,
and KD coming in just added the extra flame.
yeah,
But as you saw yourself, it just created dominance that should not be there. I think the fact that Kawhi kind of deaded that off with the win with Toronto and then moving to Clippers gave that sort of balance in the league, but
mm,
we still saw Lakers being the dominant side throughout the whole season and playoffs.
yeah. I mean that offseason was crazy. Like Clippers rebuilding, the Nets
Mm.
rebuilding, although
Yeah,
highly
yeah,
flop, and then just Golden State going to nothing. Like what, coming last overall, and then not
yeah.
a first draft pick.
Have
It's
you, have you been keeping up with the draft?
a little bit. I've seen is it Denny Avdijay, the Israeli guy?
Yeah. But he's not projected as top three. He's more like in the top 10 sort of conversation. But yeah, I know which
Yeah.
one you're talking about.
Again, it's like the not quite European, but like
Yeah, still
sort of
like, yeah.
Amazon. Um, Obviously Lamelo Ball, he's top three projected.
Hmm.
I'm glad we haven't heard from his dad that much. So it's sort of like he's creating his own legacy rather
Definitely.
than
It's
what
good.
happened with
He,
Leangelo.
he he has to move away from that. That's more for entertainment purposes. A lot of things
Yeah,
with LeVar were for entertainment, you know. And
yeah,
that's why like even Lonzo has that sort of, even till this day, whenever I think of Lonzo, it's more of like daddy's boy or whatnot. But he's just
yeah,
like a normal basketball player at this point.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess you're definitely right with that.
But yeah, it's definitely going to be a weird one. Minnesota getting first pick. They
Mm.
haven't really been that special past couple of years.
Minnesota has been getting the first pick for like the last 5 years. Like,
They're
how
just
have they not
the
improved?
Cleveland trick. Just taking every draft pick is fine.
But you know what? Yeah, it's I like they have, not that they have a chance now, because to be fair, they always had a chance. They always had what Carl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins that were number ones each one of them.
Yeah,
But now with D'Angelo Russell coming into Wolves and him being friends with Cat, I think that's going to create a little bit of chemistry there and maybe excel them to a higher actual playoff position this
yeah.
time.
I reckon if they get solid first pick, maybe not this year, but next year they'll be pushing for playoffs.
Mm,
This year will be like little rotational, figuring out who's where and what's what.
yeah.
But next year, I reckon they can be contender for sure.
Nah, definitely. I think
Uh,
like they have a young squad as well. That's another thing.
mm. It's like the Pelicans. Like they've got
Yeah,
they get there. They're definitely getting
that's true.
there. I mean,
They have a rising star in Brandon Ingram, but to be fair, I've never been actually convinced that too much into Brandon Ingram.
yeah, he's a weird one as well. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if he's worth the whole hype
the
behind it.
whole bubble around him. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
but
Even when I was even when the All Star game in back in February was happening, and he got elected to be one of the All Stars, I was quite I was quite surprised with that.
yeah, there was definitely a few that got snubbed. But
Oh, definitely.
I mean,
Bradley Beal averaged 30 per game, and he didn't get an All Star selection. It's
uh,
just
insider politics, isn't it?
yeah,
It's
honestly, not that it has to be, but there's. But Bradley Beal's also like been an all-star already. With Brandon Ingram, I like who else was first this year? It was Sabonis from Indiana Pacers. He was first.
yeah,
That was his
I,
first
I like
selection as well.
I like that.
Yeah. The thing is that there was more hype around him. Like even when I was watching, I don't know, whatever highlights or seeing stuff on Instagram, um it would more be towards like Domantas Sabonis. I didn't see much of Ingram, and
Mm,
then Ingram won Most Improved as well this year.
yeah.
So maybe it's just like I don't know. Maybe I don't watch enough Pelican games to see this, but
Well, yeah. Maybe they're the next big two. Who knows?
yeah, that's true. It's true.
But yeah, it's well, Doncic aside, he might get there. He might get there.
Doncic, you know what? The thing with Doncic is I when he first came into the league, I love the fact that he was already experienced.
Hmm.
Because all these players are coming back from college, they're coming from high school, which is like not much experience. You're getting
Yeah.
a bit of basketball playing, but it's different to the NBA. Uh, but the fact that he was already a EuroLeague MVP
Hmm.
and he only got third pick overall, that was a bit
I've,
like,
I
come on, where's your statistics? Like, where are your statistics when you're counting who's going to be first, second, or third?
I think that just shows that they like whilst they acknowledge the talent that can come from Europe, there I don't think they trust it just yet. But
Hmm.
now with Doncic is his prime example of how they clearly got it wrong and that they need to put more faith into Europe because
Yeah.
he's a star already. So just put your faith in the Euros.
No, definitely. It's the fact that just EuroLeague and European leagues create less pressure on kids. That's what I'm thinking anyway.
Yeah.
When you're in college, you have that limelight on you.
Mm.
When you're in a German or a Spanish, like I don't know, team, you don't get that much hype. But when you enter the draft, you see that you're not actually worse than the other ones.
Yeah.
So what makes you go down the scales when it comes to the NBA draft?
Yeah.
Actually, like the two people that were in front of Doncic, which was DeAndre Ayton and Marvin Bagley. Like where are they now?
Yeah. No.
Ayton had a ban for what was it for? He had some sort of a ban for a couple of games. It might have been for drug like not drug abuse. Maybe he got caught
Weed or something.
with cannabis. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, Bagley as well is in Sacramento Kings. I don't see much of him.
Nah. I mean, yeah.
Even Trey Young was fifth.
Yeah.
And what,
I
both of him and Doncic ended up being NBA All-Star starters.
Yeah. I definitely think like the Mavericks trading up for Doncic was, well, not trading up, but trading for him.
Yeah.
Like it, just genius
It
move.
just made sense, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, they needed to replace a tall European with another one,
Yeah.
and they did exactly that. They got an all-star out of him.
And
Um,
and and
and
his, you know what? And Doncic's proportions are actually they're brilliant for a basketball player. He's
mm,
6'8". He can potentially play on every position. He's relatively strong. He has shooting, three pointers, mid range, doesn't matter. He has all of it.
yeah,
I think he's a very complete player. I think that definitely, like when people say that he's the next legacy player when it comes to the NBA, you know how you had Jordan, then Kobe, then LeBron.
yeah.
People are saying that he's the next one, and I don't blame them. I think the same.
It's definitely him or Giannis.
Giannis as
The
well, yeah,
next couple of years would definitely sort that out.
yeah, 100%.
But yeah, it's I
But
mean,
that's a gamble with Giannis. You see what happened
oh,
these playoffs.
you can't carry a team alone, and he's got a decent team around him. They're not major stars, but
But
it's
Nowitzki carried the team
a
along.
team. Well, yeah, yeah, but again, that might be the separation between what happens with Doncic's future and what happens with Giannis's future. Maybe Doncic can afford to carry the team on his back single-handedly.
Yeah.
Maybe Giannis needs that one other player.
Because even these playoffs, it was 4-3 to Clippers when they won against Mavericks. They took them to 7 games.
Giannis had a
Not
couple.
Kristaps wasn't fully healthy when it came to the series as well. So who knows what would have actually happened if they had a full fit team.
Mm. I think this upcoming season is going to be
It's interesting, isn't it?
I reckon they'll get to the finals.
Mavericks.
Yeah,
But Mavericks are in the Western Conference. It is hard to get through that.
it's
Step aside San Antonio Spurs. That used to be a big powerhouse. Now
yeah.
it's not as much. But you still have Lakers. You still have Rockets, Clippers. I'm pretty sure Kawhi's not gonna take it. The fact that he got out so quick.
Nah, I mean Lakers, Clippers, they'll definitely be the biggest contenders, but
Hmm.
Rockets they always seem to be
Fumbling it.
yeah
Mm,
like incredible regular season, postseason, never quite what everyone expects and
yeah.
what they live up to in the regular season. They need like that one good run to cement themselves as like permanent contenders.
Yeah, definitely. They didn't even reach the finals recently.
No, it was the same sort of thing with I don't know, just different teams in the past. They've got these two big players. They've got all the skills of or what should be a powerhouse team, but they just never. I don't know if it's the chemistry or fitness. Is it they're playing too many games? Is it they're not playing enough games? I don't know.
Do you know what? As you said yourself. This new season, I saw yesterday actually that the NBPA agreed to actually start the season on the 22nd of December rather than early January. I think it's for the best. Then Christmas and well, that's very unthoughtful of the players, but I think it's like very entertaining to have that for
Yeah,
Christmas and New Year's. But of course they have to play, which is another
yeah.
side to the story.
I mean, it was always good. Like after like the fun of Christmas in the morning, it's like you know, there's no
Yeah,
football today.
exactly.
Basketball it is.
Because
So
they
like,
actually play on Christmas Day.
yeah, it's
It's
normally
crazy.
they normally have the Battle of LA on Christmas. They've often got a New York game. There's pretty big games on Christmas. They had
It depends what teams are
Warriors.
leading as well.
Well, yeah, but I mean that early in the season, I don't know how competitive the Christmas game is going to be,
Mm.
but it will definitely be interesting.
It will, yeah, 100%. But even LeBron quoted, well, not quoting LeBron
Yeah,
because I don't actually remember what he said word by word, but he's going to take it easy the first half of the season.
yeah. I mean, load management has become the new thing for stars in the NBA. So I
Load
don't.
management is very tricky, right? Do
Hmm.
you not think?
It is because if you're signing a superstar for all this money and they're playing half the games that they could be,
Yeah.
it's not a waste. I understand why they're doing it for the team and for the players' health, but you know,
Well, Kawhi's load management didn't really help him either.
well, no,
All that rest for what? To get
it,
out by Nuggets in 7.
I, I don't know if it's you know his load management at Toronto was I'd say manageable.
Yeah.
He missed a couple games by choice, but it wasn't so bad that it was sort of play one, rest one, rather than play four, rest one. It's you need a balance where, like LeBron, he will play all 82 games, no problem. But
Yeah.
then, someone like Kawhi might only play like 60.
Sure.
You got to find that balance for the best players on your team. You can't just rely on the backcourt to
Mm.
sort you out.
It's also look. I saw that LeBron actually pays 1.5 million per year on the on his body. So to
Uh,
keep his body, revitalized and healthy in a way, he has two professional chefs from what I've read. just cooking him up
Yeah.
with stuff that he actually needs. But another thing with load management is with Kawhi, I just don't understand why he has to take so many breaks. Just purely because other superstars throughout the years, how many games they've played,
Mm.
and no one actually no one actually went, oh, no, we're playing too much. Even Michael Jordan, look how many games Michael Jordan has played.
Yeah. It,
But
I don't know if that's his personal choice. Like maybe he wants to play not the full season, but more games than he is already playing. Maybe the
yeah,
Clippers had something to do with that. I don't know.
but
But
that's another thing. He didn't really before he got transferred to Toronto from San Antonio. He had what 2 seasons where he didn't actually play that many games in
mm,
itself. So if you're going to Toronto, which is a new franchise for you, what gives you the right to kind of, direct your load management? You haven't proved anything for the past 1, 2 years or whatnot.
yeah,
Like, fair enough, you have a Finals MVP, but that was 6 years prior. That was 5 years prior. So
yeah,
it's like, what gave him the sort of option to be like, yeah, I need load management, guys. You better agree with this. Like, I'm pretty sure DeMar DeRozan didn't get load management when he got traded to San Antonio. Do you know what I
no,
mean?
yeah. I mean that whole Toronto move was a whirlwind.
It
So
was,
for him to then go and say or infer, I'll play X amount of games, but you got to rest me.
yeah.
Who knows if he even would have played those games if he got injured in like the fifth game?
Yeah, that's true.
Like that Toronto season could have ended so many different ways, and it was a bit of a miracle it ended how it did.
Yeah, you know what? You are right. It was a bit of a miracle. I can't lie. If KD and if others were fully healthy for the finals, there was no chance they would be winning with them.
No, no,
I don't think so. That team was too stacked. Like I think it was the injuries that brought them down. Although there was a bit of spark going on that KD is about to leave or whatnot.
yeah,
I think even if they three-peated, I think Kevin Durant was on his way out just purely because he wasn't getting along with the team, and that was visible even on teams when he was arguing with Draymond Green just in the middle of a play.
yeah.
But
It
going back to the situation of the bubble, LeBron James, through LeBron James saying that he's going to take the first half of the season quite quite softly. Well, looking at him, he's quite elderly, so I understand that he's going up to 36.
mm,
But from someone that didn't play throughout quarantine, so they had months of time where they could have physically been able to regenerate themselves, rest up. Then you had the bubble, which went on for what 2 months,
yeah,
where they were in isolation. That, don't get me wrong, what they had there provided to them in the NBA bubble was really good.
yeah,
First, they complained about the meals. Fair enough, the NBA changed that. They gave them fully new chefs. Um, just quality food. So I don't really understand why they should get a break further on into January. You didn't play that much. You only played 2 months. Maybe I'm just being insincere about this, but I just feel like that's the case. You played for 2 months, fair enough. Then you what? Since when did the finals end? Like halfway through October, or whatnot? Maybe
yeah,
beginning of
yeah.
October.
September?
Maybe end of September. Nah, I think beginning of October. It was one of those days.
Yeah,
But either way, they're getting like a 2 month break. They're getting a nearly 3 month break to be fair. So I don't
yeah.
think a lot of players should be complaining that oh yeah we should start later on. It's not that bad if you're starting end of December.
No, I mean the bubble, the all the games were still really, really competitive. Like there was no doubt about that. Like the everyone was still in top
Yeah.
shape.
Even the last couple of games of the normal season.
Yeah, I mean, the Suns, where did that come
Oof,
from? I'm
exactly.
so gutted when they didn't make it, but
Eight
you know,
no.
like, there was no real there was no taking it easy during the bubble. Like, fair enough, you got like Disneyland, all this, amenities, whatever, you got rest, you got jacuzzis and that, but like all the games are still highly competitive. You're still playing at the top of your game, and then 2 months off, have 2 weeks holiday, then back to training. Like
Yeah.
you are a professional athlete, and it's me saying this.
Yeah, it's easy for us
I
to say,
don't.
definitely, but I feel like at the same time, look, we're not getting paid millions to do this. They are. You
Yeah,
know, as rookies, they're getting millions. Tyler Hero, by the way, Tyler Hero, brilliant player.
legend.
Tyler Hero's getting like a good 4 million contract as a rookie. Like
Yeah,
most rookies are getting these sort of things anyway, but him as an example. But it's crazy to even think that
yeah.
that is the case. That's the scale of it.
It, it it's hard to think like, you're being given, if you're a bad team, if you're a bench player in Cleveland, you've
Hmm.
had what, 9 months? You will have like 10 months just completely working on yourself, working on your shot, working on
Oh
whatever.
yeah, of course.
Cleveland could come, you know, maybe make the playoffs
Yeah.
because they put in that work in the off season that maybe, LeBron, he, obviously he's a freak of nature, but
Mm.
maybe he hasn't put in the as much work as he could have done.
Yeah.
But
Mm, nah, you're right about that because what these little teams that didn't really qualify for the bubble, i.e. Cleveland or Atlanta or whatnot, you have more time to kind of develop yourself, definitely. And I
mm,
feel like if you're not going to show that next season, then the whole franchise is just built on the wrong like pillars. Do you
yeah,
know what I mean? Like if you're going to excel as a franchise, make sure to use your time wisely.
I mean, I think Cleveland is a good example because they weren't the greatest before LeBron came back.
Yeah.
They were terrible, let's be honest.
Yeah, they were. They had number one pick in Kyrie Irving, and even when he was an All Star, straight like I think he was an All Star in his second or third season, whatnot.
Yeah.
They weren't providing anything to the league.
I mean, they probably weren't even scraping 30 wins. Like,
Yeah,
you've got so many first overall draft picks. You had, what was the flop?
Anthony Bennett.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have had who? Kemba Walker? No.
Ooh, who was in that draft?
Um,
I think that was 2013. That was 2013 draft. That was Giannis was in that draft.
I'm
Yeah,
quite
exactly.
kind of, but I think when LeBron came back, the whole the whole state of Ohio just put all their faith on
Yeah,
on LeBron.
revitalized the whole system.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin Love played to an all-star level. You
Yeah,
had Kyrie Irving playing really good. J.R. Smith, regardless of what he did in the final season for LeBron
mm.
at Cleveland, he still put in a shift.
Nah,
You
he
know,
was definitely like
playing
he was a role player. He was actually a good role player for the
yeah.
Cavs.
I mean, that starting five, they must have played about 40, 50 minutes of Game 7,
Yeah.
and it paid off. Brought the championship to Cleveland, but
Yeah, for the first time in how many years? They had like the franchise for like 60 years now.
yeah.
That was their first win.
But now it just they've had all this time off. Is Kevin Love enough to breathe new life into Cleveland? I like Kevin Love, but I don't think he can.
You know what? I love Kevin Love. Like even him as a player, like he was a rebounding lead a couple of times, or maybe like once or whatnot. But he's always had that all-star caliber. He's been an all-star even when he was back in Minnesota.
Yeah,
He was back in on the Timberwolves. Um, but I think a lot of stuff with him especially happened off court as well. He had a lot of I think mental health issues from what I've read.
yeah,
He's a big ambassador of that now.
yeah.
Um, So, that probably had like a bit of a toll on him as well. I don't think he will revitalize the Cavs himself. I think the Cavs will have to just go through the process of getting like a good star from the draft rather than trading
Mm,
for it. They have no one to trade for as well. Who are they going to trade like an all-star for an all-star? They don't have an all-star to trade.
yeah. I mean, Kevin Love's contract runs out next couple years, I think.
Maybe I'm not too sure about his contract.
But even then, you're not getting much for Kevin Love.
Yeah, exactly. But you didn't get much of him this season anyway. Although they have Andre Drummond now.
Yeah, they do.
But
But
I think he's going to get traded anyway.
yeah, I think Cleveland should just bite the bullet, full rebound, sell everyone,
Yeah,
just draft picks galore. Any young player, they'll have him.
nice, true. Do you know what? We're talking about Cavs on a bad scale. New York Knicks are on a bad scale. That team is, I don't know what they're doing in that sort of whole franchise, but they even kicking out what's that director's name? That's a big fan of New Knicks. He's Spike Lee.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that
A
wasn't
bit
nice.
a bit big fan of the New York Knicks. Went to every game for the past 30 years. And
Yeah,
one time they saw him going through the back entrance, which he always does,
yeah.
and they decided to kick him out, tell him, "Nah, you can't come through here." So
It's
if you have no respect for your biggest fans, how you have respect for your actual team?
yeah. I don't want to keep on going back to Toronto, but Nav, the guy that sits behind um the net.
Mm-hmm.
He's had a season ticket since the very first game as
Really?
Toronto Raptors. He's never, well, as far as I know, game.
Yeah.
He's just some like car salesman, and I'm pretty sure they like pulled some money together or like gave him a ring when they won the
Yeah.
championship.
Really? That's really nice of them, of the
But
team,
if
actually.
you're not doing that as the Knicks, you haven't won anything in ages, and you're disrespected to someone like Spike Lee. It what chance does
What
any
would you
other fan
expect?
have?
Exactly.
Yeah, it yeah
I thought, do you know what? Yeah, I had a bit of faith in them last season because I saw that RJ Barrett, the Duke player, was going to them
mm,
as the third pick. By the way, they got so humiliated with the third pick. Everyone was thinking they get it first, and then they got third. For what reason? And I thought RJ Barrett would give that whole franchise a little life.
mm.
It didn't happen.
Nah, they need someone. 'Cause free agency, they were like, again, Knicks fans are like, I don't know, United fans.
Yeah, exactly. They put too much. They already made like a storyline for themselves
Yeah,
without like with no evidence. They had Kyrie, KD, and no, sorry, not Kyrie. They had KD, Zion Williamson, and like one other player
yeah.
just in one picture. Well, all these players, they're not there.
I think it's made it even worse that the team that has probably rebuilt the most is Brooklyn. So now
Yeah,
for the next like 5 years, Brooklyn are just going to dominate the
true.
Knicks, and the Knicks really have no one to
Did you know that
get in.
Brooklyn, when it first started off, it was it Nets? It was no, first I know it was New Jersey Nets. Before it was Brooklyn. Before 2012, it was New Jersey Nets, and that team had to pay fees to New York Knicks for the sake of the franchise actually being in New York and taking their fan base.
Oh my God.
First it was in New York, then they moved to New Jersey, and same thing happened. It was like, oh yeah, we still have fans in New Jersey. You guys have to pay us fees if you want to be there and take our fans. And then Brooklyn. I'm not sure if they still pay or not, but I know that they paid before. But that's absurd.
That's
That is
unreal.
actually, and look where you are now. Where did these fees give you?
I mean, well, Brooklyn's obviously got the backing from, Jay-Z. He can just whether he pumps money into them or not, it remains to be seen. But you know,
Yeah,
if New York, if the Knicks are treating Spike Lee like that, and the Nets are giving Jay-Z this big platform to do whatever in the NBA,
yeah,
it's you can see a clear difference in New York where the talent is and where like the ethics lie.
yeah. No, definitely
Yeah, I don't know. The Knicks have got a long way to come. I
they
don't
do.
think they'll be good for a little while.
They do. It's upsetting to see because a big team like Knicks with a big stadium like Madison Square Garden being in one of the biggest cities in the world, and they have the shittest team.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like anything 10, 15 years ago, if you were walking down or walking into some like sports shop and they had a few basketball jerseys or, you know, but like branded basketballs, it would
Yeah,
always be the Knicks, probably the Celtics, and now you might still have the Celtics, but Knicks, no way.
yeah, because even like if we weren't NBA fans, even if you just like correlate NBA to teams, you get Lakers, Celtics straight away, and I would say Knicks.
Yeah,
Recent years, Warriors because they're big, but when it comes to franchises, even
yeah.
though Knicks don't really have um that many championships under their name, they're still one of the biggest franchises just purely from the location.
It's as you were saying, like the rabid fan base, the stadium which they play. It's like
Yeah,
the greatest arena in the world.
yeah, exactly.
But
That's another thing.
nah, not for a while.
It's upsetting, like it is upsetting, but once in NBA you always have that sort of thing where teams actually go through that cycle. Warriors before they were actually what they are now,
Mm,
they were They were bad. They were bottom of the league
Yeah,
before Chris Mullin. Chris Mullin was the one that was playoff contending with the Warriors during the first half of like the first half of the 90s. But then after Chris Mullin left, Warriors became a team like what you see Cavs being now.
yeah. I mean, it's obviously every team goes through like peaks and troughs because you
Yeah,
can't have a standout player for 20 years, or if you do, you're the exception to the rule. But you're always going to have a peak for 4 years. You get playoffs. You might win the championship. You drop off for 5, 10 years, get back up. It's like Lakers. Like once Kobe
exactly
left,
like
they
Lakers. Yeah,
were
Lakers are actually
quite
good example.
shoddy for 8 years. Then LeBron came, got them championship in 2 years.
Yeah. You see that? You know what, LeBron. Even though I'm not a big fan of LeBron, I don't know why. I just never was. To be fair, you always get that like sort of
Yeah,
like unconscious bias. Like with Messi and Ronaldo, I'm more of a Messi than Ronaldo. With LeBron and like let's say Steph Curry or whoever, Kevin Durant, I would be Kevin Durant.
mm,
But um, but with LeBron, he just quickly changed the game for the whole thing. Yeah, fair enough. One season he had where he didn't make the playoffs, but that was the time for the rebuild. He
yeah,
had the whole season to realize which players he actually needs more than others. I think that's what kind of directed him to, I'm not saying that LeBron is the GM because obviously he's not. There's a lot of there's a GM, the head coach that take into consideration who's getting traded or whatnot. But I think he had a big play in like who gets to be kept in Lakers and who gets to be traded for Anthony Davis to come in.
yeah. I mean, when that trade did happen, it was expected, but not really to the extent of
Yeah,
pretty much all their notable players.
yeah. The whole
Yeah,
young roster just got traded. Josh Hart,
yeah,
Josh Hart getting traded as well.
Lonzo Ball.
Alonzo Ball, yeah.
Um, but I mean, what they got in return clearly worked. So
Yeah, definitely. I think the only you could argue this to be fair because they did win the championship at the end, but Ingram could have stayed, Kuzma could have went, but that's just the gamble that they had to take. Which
yeah,
one could potentially be performing to a higher standard?
yeah. But I think their thinking was something like that. It's Kuzma and Ingram, they were quite on par. Maybe now it's certainly an argument that Ingram is better, but at the end of the day, they're not going to be the ones. They're not going to be ones trusted with the last shot if you need to win. It's a buzzer beater.
Yeah,
You're not going to
true.
give it to Brandon Ingram or Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah,
Like,
that's the thing that like as harsh as it sounds, and I'm not a basketball player myself, but there's all-star players and there's role players.
yeah,
Now, role players become all-star players, but that's only if you have the right attitude towards it. I don't
mm,
think Kuzma does, personally. Just from seeing his Instagram, his Instagram's just like even how Shaquille O'Neal said it in one of the interviews that he was just getting onto the players that were boasting about the championship. But what they do? They just sat on the bench. With Kuzma had like a lot of games to play. He had a lot of minutes to play, but at the same time, he wasn't anything special. He wasn't like a turning point for Lakers.
yeah. I mean, Lakers. It was clear from the offset that their three, in effect, were going to be LeBron, AD, and I guess you could argue Danny Green.
You could, yeah.
I was a big fan of Danny Green when he was at Toronto.
Danny Green has 3 championships with 3 different teams.
Yeah,
It's
I
just,
mean, when he was at Toronto, I didn't notice him getting that much stick
yeah.
play, but that's because the whole team was,
Maybe he's just one of those players that just crumbles when it comes to playing with bigger figures. Like,
yeah,
there's one side of playing with Kawhi. Yeah, fair enough. That's Kawhi Leonard. But then there's LeBron James,
yeah,
especially
yeah,
with him and AD there. I think maybe just Danny Green kind of crumbled under the pressure
yeah.
as a champion. I think he just did.
I mean, what was it, game 4 or 5?
Where he missed it was game 5, I think, because
Yeah,
that allowed him to go 3-2. So it was game 5.
yeah. I mean, the stick he was getting on Twitter was outrageous, but you know,
Him and Markieff Morris.
yeah,
Markieff? Wait, is Markieff in Clippers? One of them's in Lakers, one of them's in Clippers. Markieff is in. Hold on, let me check this actually because it will actually bug me now. Yeah, it's Markieff that plays for Lakers. Yeah. and then Marcus plays for Clippers. But yeah, even him when he lobbed that pass to pretty much no one to make the ball go outside, that was a bit, you're in the NBA finals. If you need to concentrate more at this point.
Yeah, you need a bit more precision than that. It's just to throw it willy-nilly.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, the Lakers don't have to worry for the next few years about whether there's another outbreak or if they have to go back in the bubble. Like they're going to be okay.
Yeah, it's true.
Um, but I think the most interesting thing will be when LeBron's contract runs out.
When's LeBron's contract running out? Because I know AD's one. Is it after this season? I think that's when AD's one's running out.
I think so. I think LeBron's got 2 years left because it was a
2 years.
four-year deal. But then, like, the thinking is wherever his son gets drafted, he'll go free agency to them, which would be pretty special.
Oh, but what that gives Bronny James 2 years to make the league.
Yeah,
Okay.
because
What is?
he's playing with Dwayne Wade's son, and
Uh,
they're meant to be, not top two projected, but they're like the
yeah, yeah.
obviously,
Well, highest expectations.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Now,
So I think that'll be a good
but
draft.
but I don't know if he's gonna make the league in 2 years.
Maybe not. I mean,
Unless he gets drafted out of high school, which is the highest probability of him going, before
yeah,
into the league. Is he even at that level yet for him to go?
I don't know. I can't lie, I haven't watched much of him, but
I haven't watched much of him
from
either.
what I've heard, he's good. He's nowhere near LeBron,
Yeah.
but
As
I,
if
I
he
think
follows, I think LeBron will make sure that he follows LeBron's work ethic.
100%. I mean, there were all those jokes going around when he posted up a video of him smoking weed.
Yeah, I seen that.
Oh, LeBron, when he gets out the bubble, he's gonna give him a
Seen
talking to.
that. A lot of memes were actually quite funny from the bubble. That was one of the memes that
Yeah,
came out of it. There was obviously the Danny Green ones as we spoke about them a second ago.
yeah,
But you know what? On the other side, that must be taunting for NBA players. Imagine being in a bubble. You
yeah,
play one game where you play pretty bad. Next morning you wake up and there's memes around you on the internet.
yeah. It's got to be pretty horrible. I mean,
But I guess that just comes with being
yeah,
famous in a way.
I think basketball players can because I mean, to compare it to like football, every single Manchester United player gets slated regardless of what they do. If they score a hat trick, it's still gonna be like, oh well, could have scored seven.
Yeah.
Like even Rashford, he's still getting
He's still getting, yeah, he's still getting slated, even though he's like what he's doing outside the court, definitely.
yeah. But like
Wait,
LeBron, people can make all the jokes they want. He's still, in my
yeah, yeah, definitely. There's certain players that are kind of immune to the meme group. They still get memed about, but they can't get memed when it comes to their game.
yeah,
Like LeBron nearly averaged a triple double at the age of 35. Like that's crazy.
yeah.
It's crazy statistics.
I think I mean obviously Joel Embiid, the crying that was that
Don't
was a
talk to
rough
me
one.
about 76. I think that's the most overrated team.
You reckon?
Definitely. When they I'm not sure if you've watched. There's NBA produced like mic'd up videos on their YouTube channel,
Oh yeah,
and they produced one with all the compilations, like the best compilations of the out of the NBA bubble. And this is actually quite funny. I think they put that in on purpose. It was like a group huddle of 76ers players. It was from
mm.
it was during the playoffs. It was who did they get swept by? Was it Toronto or was it Boston?
I think it was Boston.
I think it was, yeah, it might have been one of them two. But either them two. Oh wow, I actually forgot. But they got swept in the first round.
Yeah,
And it was, I'm not sure which game it was, but they were all in a huddle, and then you see Tobias Harris going like, "All right, on 1, 2, 3, chip, 1, 2, 3, chip." And then I went straight to the comments here, and I found so many comments just saying, "Oh yeah, Tobias Harris saying chip, where the first round swept." Nah, it's just I think they are an overrated team. Ben Simmons as a point guard at this point, you had 4 years since you got drafted as a first pick, and you have no 3-point shooting abilities.
yeah. I mean,
Modern NBA shouldn't be like this. You should have a 3-point range,
yeah.
especially if you're backcourt.
I mean, he was saying like, oh, my 3-point shot was like 100 times better than it was, but fine if you say that and you get them on in training, but
Yeah, when it comes to
They keep
game.
a slight bit of pressure on you, and you still miss. It's
Yeah.
you can't be the player on the team
If
if
you can't
you're
do
that type
something
of
like
player,
that.
you can't make a three.
I
Like
think that's why they made Joel Embiid more of a, like, as you said, D player rather
yeah,
than Ben Simmons, who should potentially be the better player just through his projection of like being first in the NBA draft.
yeah. I
And
mean,
also they have Tobias Harris.
yeah. I think they've got a nice little team, but whether they can make that be anything special, I think 2 years ago was probably the one chance they had. Maybe they're a bit past it now, but who
Oh
knows what
wait,
they've
are
done
you
in the
talking
offseason?
about what when they went 4-3 with Raptors?
Yeah.
Yeah. Whoa, yeah, exactly. That was a year ago. And look at the change. They went out in the
Okay.
first round here.
Well, but then
That's
you
what
can
I'm
say the
saying.
same thing for Lakers. They didn't make the playoffs last year. Obviously, it's not the same team when you trade half your team and you get one player back. But
Yeah.
to go from missing the playoffs with LeBron being injured quite a lot and then just sort of sack it off the rest of the season to
Yeah.
winning the championship, it's a bit of a difference, but I think that's an exception. The 76ers, they've still got all the talent there. It's just whether they can use it or
What do you think they're gonna trade?
not. I don't think they'll make any major trades. I reckon a few pieces here and there, but I think they're going to try and keep their core. Give it maybe 1, 2 more years.
Because they're looking at it now, their trading options aren't that bad. Like they have a pool of players that they can use from in their team, even the
Yeah,
superstars. To be fair, Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris. I think what is does Al Horford still play for? Yeah, I think Al Horford still. Yeah, Al Horford as well. And it's just like at this point, if you see that it's not working, you've had the same sort of like core members as you said for the past 2-3 years. It's not working.
yeah.
Like, you're relying on your all stars, but it's not working. If you want to succeed as a franchise, trade will have to happen.
Mm,
Trade your point guard for another point guard. Maybe that'll make the difference. You never know.
yeah. I, now that you said that, I'm thinking maybe they won't trade everyone, but I think there's a solid possibility that they could trade
Yeah.
one of their three or four. Then who do they get in return? Do they want a 1 for 1, or do they want one for a
Yeah, that's another
couple of
thing. Who
youngsters?
do they actually like take out and take in?
Yeah, but I,
It's a lottery of 76ers. That's another thing that I want to see what happens.
mm, I think if they can make it work this season, because are they trying to do 72 games rather than 82?
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
definitely
yeah.
going to be a shortened season.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be
I
shortened.
think if they can make it work this season, they might try and stick with it because it's pretty much a normal season again,
Yeah.
give or take a little bit more
But it's the
precaution.
same story with them. It's just they range between like the third and like fifth sort of
Yeah.
play in the like getting that seed, and then it's just the same story for the past couple of years.
Mm. I don't think it's quite all or nothing yet. I think that'll be next season.
And plus they
But
had Markel Fultz as well, another
yeah,
number one pick. They could have utilized that to a better degree and traded for better players. Whoever I don't even remember who they traded. Well, now he's in Magic. Who came from Magic? I don't even know. But yeah, they definitely could have made better moves with that.
yeah,
Like look at Miami Heat for example. I think Miami Heat's my favorite team right now. If I was to say, oh yeah, which team do you bandwagon? It would be Miami Heat.
yeah.
Because
Their
I'm loving it.
their run was nice. I
The
mean,
run was definitely nice, and I think it will continue. I don't think they'll give up.
yeah,
If you were in the NBA Finals with a team that was so underrated, and because each one of those players know that they play good.
yeah,
Each one of those players is confident, and if you have that sort of mentality, and you think like, well, as an underdog team, look how far we came. We beat those teams that were stacked, like
mm,
Boston Celtics, or who else did they beat? Or Milwaukee.
yeah.
Like, with that mentality, go for the next finals again. Why not?
I I mean, I don't want to compare them to the Warriors because they're not. They're very different teams. But like you were saying, Warriors against Raptors, they were sort of plagued by injuries.
Yeah,
If if the Heat had the full healthy team going into the actual finals
Yeah.
with the Lakers, I think definitely a chance. I wouldn't maybe say 50-50, I'd say maybe 60-40 for Lakers, but their chances would have been brilliant.
No, of course, oh, definitely. If Goran and Bam didn't get injured,
Mm,
I think it could have went either way in a way. Because it
yeah.
was 4-2 at the end of the day. They took them to two game like they got two games off them, which is the most that they lost
Mm,
those playoffs, Lakers. I think Trailblazers took one game from them and so did Houston.
yeah.
But no, definitely with Miami Heat, like look, and they have a like relatively young roster as well.
Yeah.
Tyler Hero came in. Kendrick Nunn, another rookie that actually did his job throughout the season. They didn't utilize him as much in the postseason in the
Mm.
playoffs, but I'm not too sure why that was the case.
I think that they'll be contenders next couple of years for
And
sure.
another thing is the fact that they don't actually have a proper center. That could be one of their cons.
That is true.
Like
That's
Bam is physical, is big, but was no match against AD. He has the
mm,
proportions of an actual center, even though he's not.
mm,
He doesn't always play a center.
yeah. I think if they get a solid center, all-star caliber,
Yeah.
then
Not even a center. I'm talking about just a big man in general. That's why a lot of
yeah,
people are predicting James Wiseman to be a perfect fit for the Warriors because he's 7'1". He's athletic, beautiful at the rim, projected number like one to three because
mm,
it's James Wiseman is LaMelo Ball and then Anthony Edwards.
yeah,
Um, if James Wiseman takes the second pick, Warriors are back to being stacked in a way.
yeah,
The backcourt's back. Draymond's loving the fact that the backcourt's back, so he's going to be playing well.
yeah.
And then you're going to have a big man in center point forward position. Beautiful.
Mm.
Back back to the old ways.
I think if no one's saying that this draft is like outrageous, but if teams get the right picks that they need and it fits, then you will look back in 5 years and say, "Oh, this was a fully stacked draft."
Yeah,
Because I mean, top five is sort of it's relatively undecided who's going to go where.
yeah,
There's no one
true.
consensus. There's no Zion,
Yeah,
but it will definitely be interesting.
no, definitely will. Like I'm really like a lot of people are saying that this draft is not the best. It's not as hyped. Or maybe
Mm.
that's just because of the whole situation
Yeah,
um with the whole pandemic going on. But it's definitely going to be it's going to be exciting to see what happens. But as I was saying with Miami Heat, it's the fact that they're lacking a center as well. But each one of those members that are not a center, even I think Bam, not maybe except from Bam because I haven't seen him, but they all take threes. Even Jay Crowder. Jay Crowder developed on a big scale. He was first in Boston, then he went Cavs.
mm.
Now he's in Heat, hitting threes.
Yeah, yeah.
If he can do that, what's stopping Ben Simmons from doing that?
I Ben Simmons is definitely a weird one because Jay Crowder he's not the typical three guy, but then Ben Simmons you
Yeah.
think he's got everything else. Why is the 3-point shot just so foreign to him? It's
True. In this day of age, like you look how basketball has changed.
mm,
Basketball has become a perimeter game.
yeah,
It's now if you want to be especially in backcourt, if you want to have a good backcourt, you have to have 3-point shooters.
mm,
Because there's no other way about it.
uh,
Old game, 90s, 80s, they didn't really like invest that much people or time into getting the 3-point line.
yeah,
And you can see that from, even watching Last Dance, even watching like some of the highlights from 80s or 90s, you can
mm,
see that they don't take as many threes.
no,
And now, look, 402 threes was taken by Stephen Curry in 15-16 season compared to, I think, 358, which were in like one of the 90 seasons overall.
it's I mean Steph Curry has changed the way the whole NBA plays,
Oh,
essentially.
yeah, he revolutionized the game.
But yeah, you can't be a solid NBA player at this point in time if you don't have a 3-point shot on you.
Yeah, definitely.
Fair enough, positionally that might change things, but you know, If you are someone like Ben Simmons who's got everything, you got to have a 3-point shot. It's as
Yeah,
simple as
it's true. Because yeah, that's another thing. Ben Simmons, exceptional player,
that. Mm.
100%. Has everything except from a 3-point shot.
Yeah.
And as a point guard, you're working on the perimeter anyway. You should actually have that sort of skill set in in your game now.
Mm. I think if he doesn't really develop that much, then there is every chance he gets traded for maybe
But
not.
maybe that would be a good thing for him to actually get traded. Maybe experience another franchise taking care of him, putting
Maybe.
their ethic into him.
I mean, but does he go to a place where he's the guy, or does he go to a place where maybe he's second or third? Which
You know,
kind of.
that's another thing. Like, look at Kyrie for an example. I think Kyrie is the best example of this.
Mm.
Is he left Cavs to become his own player, his own his own star. Like,
Yeah,
okay, he was an all-star already, but his own like leader of the team.
yeah.
He didn't really see that with Boston.
Boston didn't work out.
Went to Nets. Now you've got KD there. He's back to square one.
Yeah,
So
it
yeah,
will be
Ben
interesting to
Simmons.
see. It will be interesting to see how they play
Mm,
because I mean, KD could run the team by himself. It's just
true.
handy that got Kyrie there as well. But will Kyrie be back on how he was at Boston, or will he be back at how he was in
Same,
Cleveland?
yeah. And what sort of role is he going to take? Is he going to take like a second, like, okay, cool, I'm going to be second in command, or am I going to be first joint in command?
Yeah.
Because Kyrie, I love Kyrie. I would say Kyrie is my best player overall.
Mm.
But it's just a couple of his shenanigans outside of basketball. Um, that just kind of like made me question him. Like I love the fact that Kyrie is a very like he fights for his rights. He was a big figure in the BLM movement when it was happening in America.
Yep.
When the protests were going on, but some of the stuff like not that, but it's like when he was saying like the Earth is flat or whatnot. I'm not saying he's delusional for that, but it's just there's time and place for everything. And if you're saying that he got taken a piss out of by Kevin Hart in the
Yeah.
All-Star game when he was introducing him.
Yeah.
So it's just like you're doing this for yourself, especially with the fact that you could have had a chance with Boston. I'm not sure why he left so early,
Mm.
but that's up to him. Maybe he didn't like the management there. Maybe like he didn't get on with the players or whatnot. But he's back to square one with being KD's sidekick on the Nets.
Yeah.
And
I,
and with the sorry to
I,
thingy, just and with the disrespect towards Steve Nash as well, his new head coach.
yeah. Yeah. I just never because I was sort of invested in Cleveland when they had LeBron and when they had Kyrie.
Mhm.
Once they won the championship, I was like, yeah, they're all in. They might go for a two-peat, who knows? But then like when that season ended so awkwardly in game one with JR, I just thought like that's not the end that anyone wanted for either player. And
Yeah,
then
it's
for him to
true.
go to Boston, it was sort of like it didn't really make sense to me because it was like he he could go to any team who is already contending and he'd fit right in. But I just never saw it with Boston because he's not the type of player to. I mean, he did it in Cleveland. He wasn't the player to get them back to where they were with LeBron.
Yeah,
He needs someone else with him,
he needed like a little sidekick that he just didn't find in
and
Boston.
now he's the sidekick.
Yeah, once again, yeah.
But yeah, that I'm interested to see Brooklyn for sure.
Brooklyn is a very like even the role players and the other players other than KD and Kyrie um I think they're doing a pretty good job as well.
Mm,
They did make the playoffs, to be fair, with what KD not even playing and Kyrie playing half the season. They made
yeah.
the playoffs with Spencer Dinwiddie and Jared Allen is performing well. He's a big man.
Mm. I just think it's been so long for the Brooklyn Nets that they haven't really done anything, but they're going all in
It's true, yeah.
for
They've made the finals once. I think it was in 2002 with Jason Kidd, back
yeah.
when they were New Jersey Nets. Before that, it wasn't much of it. I think they were just like another expansion team to add to the thing.
Mm. No, I think them, Miami, even Philadelphia to an extent. I think it's all going to be a good year for them.
Yeah. You could say so. Even with Philadelphia, like that's the thing. Like I'm not too sure. Like maybe what happened to them will motivate them to come back stronger.
Yeah,
Well, Ben Simmons could be hitting threes right now as we're talking. You don't know that.
you never know.
It's
I,
true.
I mean, once they lost to Toronto, I thought that would give them the motivation to go on and off season just pure work.
Yeah,
That didn't quite work, but now I think the loss to Toronto was upsetting to them, but the losing this, just collapsing this season, that was just embarrassing.
yeah.
I think that this will be the chance to properly rebound and get.
No, definitely, definitely. But
But
yeah, go on. Sorry.
oh no, you're
No, I was just going to say that it's in the team's greatest interest to to kind of care for their players. If they can't care for the players at the same time, then DeMar DeRozan, I think what happened to him in Toronto was a big he was such a key player to them until that he was actually their best franchise player until
yeah.
that point. And now what they say now they're saying Kawhi Leonard because he won them a championship.
Mm,
But before that, it was pretty much DeMar DeRozan, and I don't blame him. He played like his whole career there, and then
yeah.
he suddenly just got traded. The star player. He was
That
gutted. Like I've seen videos after of him. He was gutted. I could tell, and I don't blame him.
yeah. Even this season, he didn't like he didn't seem how we saw him in Toronto.
Yeah,
Obviously, it's a huge learning curve, whole new team, whole new coaching, whatever. But I mean, obviously Kawhi, they're very comparable, but I'd say Kawhi's better. And he
yeah,
went fit straight into the Toronto team. He took Danny Green with him. But yeah, DeMar, he's going to need some time to adjust. I think maybe this year, maybe they might do something,
You
but
know what? Maybe he'll even get traded. I'm not too sure if he's going to stay in San Antonio for that long. Depends what San Antonio is planning because San Antonio is not looking as a big threat right now.
no. I mean, there was rumors last year of Siakam for DeRozan, which would have been mental.
Wow. So what? So what? DeRozan would go back to Toronto.
Back to Toronto. I
Hmm.
don't think that those rumors ever
That would be
got,
interesting.
but it was definitely discussed.
That would actually be quite interesting. I wonder how they would how he would feel about going back. Would he even agree to be that it is a bit of a violation the fact that they actually traded him without even consulting or just he found out just I don't know somehow.
Yeah, Sportsnet or something. Yeah,
Yeah,
something like that is never good. Like if you're trading the one person who stuck by you when
yeah,
you're just the worst team, and then now you're starting to get good and you don't back him and you clean him up with someone else, it's going to leave a sour taste in your mouth. But
yeah.
whether he go back to Toronto, I don't
I
know.
think what I think DeRozan would be a good addition to Milwaukee.
Yeah, definitely.
You see where that's coming from
Yeah.
because Milwaukee is okay as we said previously Giannis is there but he's not really okay Middleton is the second All-Star there but
Mm,
he wasn't turning he I didn't see him turn up that much in the playoffs. Do you know what I mean?
mm,
Someone has to take the game. Like, okay, cool. Giannis was injured. Middleton stepped up a little bit, but not to the sake of taking them to another level.
yeah. Yeah,
And it just seems, I think they just need to either trade for other superstars or they're going to lose Giannis because Giannis, he's a two-time MVP now. He has a lot of other priorities, such as winning a chip for his own legacy.
yeah. I mean, even now, like, where's he gonna go? Is he gonna stay? I can't really see. I don't know. That there's just something about Milwaukee. It's never like they're obviously a great team, but like
Yeah,
you can't really build a franchise around that. Same with Cleveland. Like obviously LeBron's a different character, but you can't really cement your legacy on a team like Cleveland when it's quite a I don't know. There's just no like star attraction to it. Same with
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I
you
do,
try
I
and
see, I
stay
do
in
see
Miami,
that.
New York. There's something there already,
Yeah.
and then you try and build upon that. It's like LeBron and Lakers.
I
Im-
think they need a starting point. I think they need a starting point for them to become a star sort of location.
Mm.
that stars would want to go there because they need someone to start that off with. And I think like Giannis is a good player for Milwaukee to start off bringing other thingy in because as a franchise themselves, they have a rich franchise. They used to have Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. They won actual championships with him in I think 72.
Mm.
So the fact is that they have a built franchise. They're Milwaukee's in Wisconsin, which is like the only team there, and that's who they support.
Yeah.
So trade for a good backcourt person, maybe alongside Chris Middleton, maybe a point guard or whatnot. Different game because Eric Bledsoe was not, like experienced player, but did not keep up to the thingy. I think they should get a new point guard when it comes to that. It will revitalize the game their game as well in a way because point guards take the game as the generals of the court in a way.
Yeah, I reckon if they do trade for someone, then this might be the last roll of the dice before Giannis goes. If he does, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, even that'll be a whole saga. Like LeBron in free agency, like maybe not to the dramatic extent of
him actually making a show.
Yeah, but I mean, wherever he goes, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's even like LeBron going in 2 years' time. That's kind of interesting as well.
Yeah, maybe they join up.
It's a gamble. It's everything's a gamble in NBA, and that's why I like it. Is the fact that everything's fluctuating, everything's changing all the time. You don't have, you have a good team for 2-3 years, and then, then you have another good team for another 2-3 years or whatnot. Like Warriors, you look at Warriors. No one expected Warriors to be like this in I don't know even 2013.
Yeah, no, it's that's what I love about basketball is that it's always changing. Like
that's what's making it entertaining. I think that's why it's such a thingy on the international markets, such a phenomenon.
Yeah, well, I mean, like even if you're not a basketball fan, LeBron, Michael Jordan, Kobe,
the mainstream ones. Yeah.
But does the world know the best ice hockey players? Probably not. But I do think I wish they did do more in terms of just developing basketball in the UK. Like it's good here, but
it's I 100% see that. It's not. It's what you can just tell like as someone that went to school here that basketball is not it's not the biggest thing. There's like football's the biggest one in the UK, so it's going to be hard to rival with football in any circumstance. But that doesn't stop it from still coming to this market and actually being big because like look, as me and yourself and how many friends I have that actually support basketball is becoming this new thing here.
Definitely.
It's actually quite entertaining.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was pretty lucky that in Worcester, where I'm back from, we like the university there, they have a basketball team that plays in the BBL.
Oh, okay.
So like, tickets are $5, we'd go every Friday. It was just a good night. Like
that's quite cheap.
A couple hundred people. Yeah. And it's good quality. They won did they win? I think they won the league first year of uni when I was down in Kent. But then I'm pretty sure the Worcester Wolves did have at least one player who got drafted. Don't know if he ever played. But still, like if you go to Europe, everyone sees that as a downgrade, which it can be seen as that, but it's also you're just developing yourself. Like Don, he obviously he's gone the other way, but he proved himself in the EuroLeague, became MVP, and then still didn't get trusted to be first overall.
Yeah, it's
and
true.
Now he's proven that they're wrong.
They're definitely wrong because that guy is just immaculate when it comes to basketball. Like whatever, just a brilliant player. But definitely. I think even they like because Americans have NBA, they have that sort of criteria in their heads that we are the best or whatnot. So I don't even feel like they always seem everything else as a downgrade to them. But when you come to Europe and you see EuroLeague, like you know what? Maybe he said this for jokes. Maybe there was some substance in this. But Doncic said that he found it harder to play in the EuroLeague than he does in the NBA. Like we can have a laugh about that, but how much truth is actually in that? Do you know what I mean? Like he could him and like a selective group of players are the ones that could only make that sort of comparison.
Well, I mean, like the NBA, like if you get drafted into the NBA, you're most likely going to come from high school, college. They're probably going to teach you one way to play
Yeah,
because they've either grown up watching the NBA or used to play, so they're teaching you what they know. If you're EuroLeague, you might have completely different standards of how you play. Maybe I don't know. Maybe you prioritize one thing over another, like 3 point or 3 point maybe.
yeah,
Before Kyrie, that was never really a thing in NBA. Maybe it was in EuroLeague. Maybe that's why European players were so universally uh, skilled in everything, but maybe not
yeah,
to the extent of the North American players.
yeah. No, definitely. No, there must be something in there. You're right. There's no
But
other way of like, there's no other way of there being so many European players and not like, each one of them actually goes to NBA and shows off their actual skill. Paul Gasol, he played for Barcelona. He went to NBA and he actually started like, he won two championships with the Lakers. He
yeah,
became an all-star within like a couple of years.
mm. Well, it's like LaMelo Ball. Like he's played in Lithuania,
Yeah,
was
he
it?
did
Yeah.
for like a season.
And then now he's in Australia,
Now he's
or
in Australia, yeah.
he's in Australia, and then straight into the NBA. Like he's been playing professionally, maybe not to the extent that some NBA teams would want, but if you're playing EuroLeague and if you're playing for Duke, what's the difference?
Sure.
You're both playing against very talented people. It's just settings are different.
Yeah. No, definitely. Well, to the point where EuroLeague actually has like older players as well, whilst
Mm,
like Duke only goes against other college players.
mm,
But either way, it's you still have a point with that. It's the fact that I just think that NBA doesn't put enough trust in other leagues.
yeah.
It's slightly changing definitely because you see the whole influx of foreign players coming into the league,
Mm,
but um still till this day, like you see that with Doncic, as you said, as an example, you still see their like lack of faith in them.
yeah. Well, I'm hoping it will change because
Yeah,
obviously we got a vested interest in the European players.
yeah, exactly. No, definitely.
It's just a bit of bias, but I don't know.
Even like Dennis Schroeder, I think Dennis Schroeder was when he was in who did he play for before OKC? It was Hawks, right?
Yeah.
I think it was yeah. When he played for the Hawks, like he was there was some noise about him. I saw him on Instagram or whatnot, his clips, and there was noise with him. And when he got traded to OKC, I think what was he nominated? Like he was in the talks of sixth man of the year for
Mhm.
this season or whatnot. I'm like, you're kind of wasting this talent here.
Yeah.
If anything, go to another team and play starting five rather than sitting on the bench or whatnot.
Mm. Well, I mean, even like the German coverage of him, like the bits that I do see, they are always talking about Schroeder. Obviously, Doncic, just purely because he's one of the best, but also
Yeah,
because he's European. But I mean, they put a lot of I forget her name, but she got drafted into the NBA, WNBA. I think like eighth overall. She just came from like some high school in Germany. And
really?
like, you
I've
know,
never. No.
I only heard of her because it was on the news. But you know, like if the WNBA are going for
People like that, then what's
yeah,
stopping NBA? No,
yeah,
definitely, of course. I think it's just the whole scouting system. Not that it needs, rejuvenation, but if they put more money into the scouting teams, send them all over the world, they'll definitely find more talent.
mm,
100%.
yeah. Well, I mean, Europe's getting there, but like some of the African players there are phenomenal. Maybe Asia's up next. Maybe there's a Chinese talent or a Japanese talent
Yeah.
that who knows?
Look at
They might.
Yao Ming. Well, Yao Ming, for example. Yao Ming was more for his height. To be fair, that gave him a lot of advantages.
Mm,
But with his entrance to the NBA in 2002 as the number one pick, you could see that like it literally boosted the whole NBA spectrum within the Asian market, within the Asian
mm,
entertainment market.
mm.
Within China especially, yeah.
Ooh, I don't know if they do regular season games in China like they do in the UK, but
I've
I'm sure,
no,
sure they think.
they do in China. I know in China especially they do because China is a big NBA like fan sort
Mm.
of country. I'm not
Like,
too sure about other countries, but
like Chinese New Year, they've still got like the custom jerseys.
Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
always look incredible.
It's
So
true.
I mean, I'd say the NBA is the best league in terms of professional sports, which brands itself as like a global.
Yeah,
Uh,
100%. I would put them above Premier League any day.
yeah, I mean Premier League they do a couple preseason friendlies against
Yeah.
like a local Chinese team, but like you know,
Premier League is famous because of the history and because of like just the world known like the whole world being obsessed with football, and
yeah,
that's what Premier League is being boosted by, and the fact that like they have big teams and big stars
mm,
coming in. But when it comes to entertainment and when it comes to actually um international internet let me just say globalization of the I was going to say internalization of the NBA,
yeah,
then they're definitely doing it better than the leagues that we see here
yeah.
or in
Well,
other sports.
if it is like a proper regular season game that the NBA are doing in China, you're still going to get all the best players playing. If it's a Premier League preseason game, like Chelsea United, it's going to be, you're going to get some of the youngsters playing. You're going to get some of the reserves playing. You're not going to get the stars necessarily playing the whole game. Like if it's Juventus, you're not going to see Ronaldo necessarily.
Yeah,
But if
true.
it's like Lakers against Clippers, you're going to see Kawhi. You're going to see LeBron. You're going to see AD. And that's just I don't know. Maybe other leagues need to take a look at the NBA
And
because
see what they're doing.
they're doing it
See
right.
yeah, they're definitely doing it right, 100%.
But
They're having an impact on each one of the other markets around the world. Even
yeah,
the South American market, you had like what Leandro Barbosa come from Brazil,
mm,
Manu Ginobili from Argentina.
mm,
It's good. No, it's good to see this. It's good to see that it's becoming like a global phenomenon because it's worth it. It's entertaining. It gives you that sort of mentality. It has also good dates where it actually finishes at July and starts in October,
yeah,
and it goes on throughout the whole thing. How many games does it have compared to other leagues or other sports?
mm,
And plus, a lot of psychological studies have shown that people, especially Americans, are more invested into sports which have higher counts, like higher score counts, rather than how football you get like sometimes you would get 0-0.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, no entertainment in that in a way.
I think that definitely plays into it. But even like the Olympics, like you will see what was it? I think it was like 2008. It was like USA against Nigeria
Hmm.
or Cameroon.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think that was 2012 you're talking about when it was like a big score. It was
yeah,
like 150.
yeah.
And
But
yeah,
like
yeah,
that, like if it is USA against Nigeria in football, that might end 0-0. But if you get it in basketball, you're gonna see
you're gonna
just
dominance from
anything and
that team.
everything.
It's true.
Um, but I mean, ne next season as well, that'll be interesting to see what players America takes to the Olympics. Because obviously,
Yeah, yeah. Which ones are they gonna select, isn't it?
will it break up the season? Possibly, if it's June, July for the Olympics. Will it be the teams that don't make the playoffs? Will those players be picked? Will it be?
Yeah, who they gonna actually pick? I didn't put much thought into this. They'll probably pick like their it's still NBA stars, but it's a gamble
Mm. But then maybe that's the chance for other nations to,
to flourish,
yeah,
like Slovenia
yeah,
with
definitely.
Goran, Doncic.
I mean, I'd probably say a good chunk of European countries have got that one star and then a couple solid players behind
Yeah,
it. Um, I don't really know about Africa and Asia, but they probably do as well.
yeah. Now,
So,
like, well, as we're talking about Europe, especially, like, we can include like Spain, Germany, Slovenia,
mm,
even Greece now in a way with Giannis and a couple Greek players. You
yeah,
see, you see the progress in them definitely.
mm,
For my country, there's not much progress to be fair. Poland, I don't know, in basketball, Poland, we had Gortat for a couple of years, and yeah, but not much going on there to be fair.
I
Which is
think,
which is which is which is a bit annoying because I would love basketball to kind of flourish in my country,
mm,
but it is what it is. We're more football and volleyball based.
yeah. I mean, from what I've read about Germany, like they the government pumps money into it, into like all the sports. They had like I think it was called Project 2006. They pumped loads of money into football because they knew they were hosting the World Cup. and then they got this like generational team of superstars, and then they won the World Cup in 2014.
Yeah, in 2014. Yeah.
They're doing the same thing with ice hockey. They're doing the same thing with basketball.
No, I think that's a good initiative. But another thing is that Germany is it's a very rich country in itself, so you can afford to actually like
Well,
put money into other
mm,
ventures like entertainment.
yeah. Well, it's like the UK for like the Olympic funding. I don't know how it works exactly, but like you
Yeah,
keep hearing stories about like kayaking getting cut or like snowboarding getting cut because there's
other sports are.
yeah. But then
Mm,
like does basketball get funded, or is it just all going into like football or rugby?
it's true. It's true. They would rather actually invest those big chunks of money into sports that are already like already established.
Mm,
Start something new, as you said. Like, why is ice hockey getting cut? For what reason?
yeah. I mean, with the UK, it's obviously football, rugby, cricket,
Yeah,
not much else. But like rugby, cricket, that's quite a niche amount of countries to play.
yeah, it's
Or
true.
obviously universal, but like, you know, what's stopping them from having the next Luka Doncic?
It's true.
Maybe,
Yeah, 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 definitely.
but, but you know, what can we do?
We can only watch and see what they plan to do with basketball
Mm,
here.
mm,
Hopefully, they'll be able to grow because I think even like they use basketball has a lot of advantages off the court as well. Like a lot of basketball players also say that NBA has taken if not basketball if not basketball they would have ended up like on the streets or they would have ended up being part of gangs or whatnot. So it was just kind of like um, a distraction for a lot of them to kind of move away from the bad lifestyle to this lifestyle and progress in that.
yeah, definitely. I
And that's
mean,
beautiful. I think that's the beauty of the game.
yeah, I genuinely can't understand why. Like, there is no drawback of funding basketball further.
Yeah,
Yeah, you might not make profits or whatever, but that's not the point. It's like if you want to grow yourself and the UK as a sporting nation, other than cricket or rugby,
yeah,
it needs to be done, and it's for the betterment of the country. Like
no,
kids get
definitely.
healthy if they're playing, so why not?
I think you know what, well, not especially in England. There's not much we can do. We can only watch and see what happens or what their plans are for it.
Mm,
As you said earlier, the only player that actually comes to my mind when it comes to basketball, British basketball, is Luo Deng
yeah.
when he played when he was when he's in the NBA.
Mm,
Well, yeah,
but
that will come to the end of the podcast. Thank you, Felix, for joining me in our discussion. I actually really enjoyed our discussion.
no, same.
It's
Thank you
always good to
for
talk
having me
about
on.
basketball, and you're more than welcome to come on in another episode. Let's talk again.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Up to you. And so, yeah, thank you guys. This is the Ballin Right podcast, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.